What's the deal, peoples? What's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome to Battle Boy Media. What's shaking? What's goody? Appreciate everybody that's been tapping in, man. It's been a couple days, but nevertheless, we here once again. Definitely here once again. Appreciate everybody that's been actually tuning in, been subscribing, been commenting, been engaging, been sharing, getting the words of encouragement, words of support. I definitely appreciate it. It's definitely all good. And shout to all my peoples, man. That's that's doing the work. Hopefully y'all doing the work out there, man. Because it's a lot that needs to be done when it comes to us, as a people and as an individual. And there's no moving forward unless, you know, we get things together within ourselves, man. So, you know, again, I'm not speaking in a pointing finger manner, man, because I'm definitely in the same bracket that I'm actually sharing with you guys. Actually, me doing this and coming on a platform and speaking is actually like, therapeutic for myself, and it actually helps me to, do some reflection and do a lot of combing through certain areas, in my life. Um and it's all for the better. Um, so again, like episodes that I mentioned prior, um, this is this platform is gonna be similar to like, you know, getting homework from school, except this is the work that we'll have to actually do ourselves. We're gonna have to put in the self work in order to, see the self worth, right? So with that being said, right, I know you see the thumbnail up. And you see a pair of hands through some handcuffs and some bars, right? And I've been seeing as of late that I've seen a post as of late quite a few times actually. And it read that, guys that did lengthy bids are considered superheroes. And you know I let that play on my thoughts a little bit, right? Trying to like comprehend or grasp, the meaning of, you know, what the post actually says or mean, right? And I think I got it. I think I got it. Shout to Blockbuster. What's up, bro? Um, I think I got it. And I think why the post, and I got that from American Felon TV. Shout to American Felon TV. Um, what he meant by, guys that do a lengthy amount of time in prison are considered superheroes. And I want to say basically, he's probably coming from an avenue of being that, you know, prisoners have to live under certain conditions, bad conditions, and it plays on you psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically as well. I'm not going to exclude that neither. Um, it's a lot that takes place when a person is doing um, time, especially if you have to be there, you know, for a long time. And I'm speaking, you know, for myself. I'm not even gonna say I'm speaking for those. If those that can relate that's been there for a lengthy amount of time, like they'll be able to you know, be able to relate. It's again like it's so much that you gotta go through emotionally, spiritually, physically. Um, you gotta go through like, racism. You gotta, deal with these officers that don't really mean no good. Like they just don't look at you as if you're a human being. Um, so that's like an emotional, mental roller coaster, and some of them even play on that. So, um, and to actually have to go through things like that uh, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade plus, in some cases, 2 decades. It tends to, you know, play on you, so to speak. Us as people, we naturally adapt to our environment, but what happens when it gets to a point and you're released and you have to like unadapt, if that's a word, to those from those conditions, and get back into a mind frame of you know society, being into the free world, right? um and I'm gonna just comb through certain points in my bid um where it was challenging for me. um you know Definitely coming through the system as a young kid, 19 years old, um and experiencing um racism at the height of where I experienced it from. And being that I was affiliated, that just made things that much more worse for me. Um and feeling like you have no support coming from like the outside, again, all of that stuff tends to play on you emotionally to the point where you just like detach. Um for me, how I was able to cope, even though I knew where I was at, I did my best to detach from anything dealing with the outside, right? Because there was a point in time where, when you when you get upstate, you get a time computation sheet, right? And it pretty much has your amount of time that you've been sentenced to, um, your conditional release date, your maximum release date. Conditional release is like the earliest possible release date, and your maximum is the longest that they could actually hold you for. So I found myself trying to get a calendar, and for all those years I had to do it. Like, mind you, I got upstate in 2000, and my release date wasn't until 2012. So I tried to find a calendar that had all those years, and I think that worked for maybe like the first 2 years. No, not 2 years, maybe 2 weeks. Excuse me, because it was just impossible. I was on the verge of driving myself crazy trying to keep up with the time that I had to do, being at the beginning of my bid of a 15-year stretch, right? So it didn't take me long to come to grips, 2 weeks at least. Um, you know what? I can't do this. Like, I can't do my bid like this. I'll go crazy, probably come home with the George Jefferson. Um, and I just found a different way. Like, you know what? This is where I'm at right now. Like, the type of support that I know that I was looking for, I wasn't getting. Of course, when you get upstate, you want, all the letters, you want the visits, you want the packages and all that good stuff, but things don't things don't necessarily pan out that way. Um, so more or less it was definitely rough. Peace, Cross. Um,
All right, thanks.
More or less it was definitely rough. And I'm saying all that to say, to try to get like the viewers mind to like understand the things that a 19-year-old is going through, and process that, dealing with being sentenced to 15 years, right? Um, so I got rid of the calendar. Um, I stopped leaning towards outside, trying to get a phone call to call the outside world or get packages or this, that, and the third. Like, I had to thug it out. I didn't have no GD. Um, so that means I probably was getting maybe like 13 cents, 45 cents every 2 weeks or something like that. Just based just based off of not having a GED. Then on top of that, I had a surcharge. A surcharge is pretty much what the state charges you, depending on your crime, whether it's violence or drug or whatever, they automatically attach a surcharge that you have to pay off before you're actually able to get your money. So let's say your family sends you $50, the surcharge is gonna automatically take half of whatever's sent to you. So, whenever it is that I did get money or whatever the case may be, like it all got so it was a lot working against a young 19, 20-year-old mind. Not to mention uh the way of life that I chose to live. Uh, being a part of Damu. Um, that alone just like trumped the stakes to be against me. Um, it was definitely rough. It was definitely rough. Um, and of course, I'm just explaining to the people's, you know, what it is that I felt that guys that do lengthy bids are considered superheroes and why. So I'm giving them a little bit of like the beginning part of my bid or what it is that I went through and things that I had to face, knowing that I had 12 years and 10 months to do ahead of me. And I'm trying to like keep track of the time through a calendar day by day, knowing that I had years on top of years on top of years on top of years, and how I actually got through that and coped and dealt with that at the same time.
Okay,
Um,
cool. Can you hear me?
yeah, I hear you clear.
Yeah, I've been stuck though. I've been stuck. I couldn't get in at first, but now I'm stuck. But you can hear me, so that's cool. You can't see me moving, right?
No, I don't see nothing. It's dark.
It was dark. Okay, we haven't tapped together again. I'm on. I can see you and I can see myself, but I'm stuck. But it's good. You can hear me fine. That's well. Yeah, that's the piece. I heard what you. I heard the bill, and what amazed me about the title of this bill and what you said is that beyond the capes and the masks, superheroes they shared some must-haves, right? It's the origin story, you know, explanation of how they got their powers.
Mm,
And there's a backstory. Like we have backstories on how we got in the position we were in the first place, right?
yeah,
Then there's the secret identity. You know, um, you had the Clark Kents, you had the Bruce Waynes, you had the Peter Parker, the Tony Starks, T'Challa. You know, those are the alter egos of Black Panther, Iron Man, Spider Man, Batman, and Superman.
yeah,
So, but all of them wanted their identities. When I spoke about secret identities, they wanted to protect their family, protect their loved ones. You know,
mm-hmm,
um, and then they all had a strong moral code. A motivation to do good. They're driven by some personal tragedy usually, and they were motivated to do good. So then when I look at our lives and we look at our origin story, you know, look at um, our secret identity or call our alter egos. In the house, I was Kevin, in the street, I'm Panic or Blacksmith or Crossroads, right?
yeah,
So it has its similarities. And we all have that backstory. Some people are motivated by poverty, right? I got to go feed my family. I got to get out in the streets and go do something, you
yeah,
know? You, inside the house, you're just battle boy. I mean, inside the house, you just, I tway. When you
yeah,
go out the street, you're a battle boy. In the making, you know.
no doubt.
So there's some explanation of how something happened along the way, to motivate us um, to get into the lifestyles we chose that has end up where we ended up. And usually we meant to do good. That's what I believe a lot of us are still here today because that energy was put in the universe is still out there,
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm echoing now. You probably can't hear it now,
No,
but
but I still can hear you. You still sound clear. You still sound clear. I think I think you know, going through the incarceration stage of life, right? Like I question whether if I would have been able to tap in to the depths of the person that I am now had I wouldn't had I didn't sit still for as long that I had to sit still as far as the bid is concerned and be able to like you know look at myself in a dull ass mirror that's inside those cells that you can barely see your face in um and pretty much get in tune with yourself or get in tune with myself or mature because being in a place like upstate facilities um maximum prisons or whatever regardless of the age that you are once you're up there like you're amongst men men of men
yeah,
murderers cop killers rapists serial killers you name it uh robbers all of the above, right? So it's one of those places where either you're gonna adapt to the rules of what's going on or get flushed down the toilet, more or less. And we spoke on this episode before. They have a saying: "It's either you're gonna do the bid or let the bid do you." Um, but again, like I said, like those thoughts I questioned. Had I wouldn't have sat still for as long as I sat still, would I have been able to tap into the person that I know that I could be or the person that I am today? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, you first, let's back up a bit. You said a few things that were great points. Um, whether you do the bid do you? Hmm. Well, that bid did me every day, G.
No doubt.
Every day there's struggles. Let's keep it what it is, man. Every day there's struggles, there's challenges. Um, every day, man, you realize this ain't for you. Every day you get to realize, what's next. And that's a every day, that's a constant. There's always noise, there's always rattling, there's always yelling, there's always screaming. Just imagine 10, 15, 20 years of constantly 24/7, 365, the rattling of gates, the
Yeah.
slamming of bars, the talking, the yelling, the screaming. That's pure insanity. So every day the bit did me, man. We survive it, or we exist in it, you know. But to go back to what you said, the process, going through this process, just try to imagine, can a butterfly fathom his caterpillar stage?
Mm,
Or vice versa. Can the caterpillar fathom what his demise is going to bring while he's going through that cocoon stage?
mm,
And all the time, it's in the forest, it's in the woods somewhere with the lion, tigers, and bears all around. And he's most vulnerable. He's in the
yeah.
transition and or transformation stage. So he's at the will of all the forces around him.
Mm,
But somehow it transitions. Somehow it transforms.
mm. That's deep. Think,
So it doesn't know, and we may not know while we're going through those cocoon stages, you know?
mhm. That's
Yeah.
deep. That's deep because it's funny that you say those stages because at the same time there's definitely you know stages in your bid. Um, the beginning is the unknown, the uncertainty, not knowing how things are gonna go. So, you're gonna get into this, that, and the third, up until you get the grips of where you're actually at and start to, you know, bid a certain kind of way that's gonna serve you. Um, and then there's a point in your bid where you get to like damn, like I'm over the hump. I'm over the halfway mark. Like, gotta start tightening up. Like I gotta start, like It's just a certain way that you got to bid because you could see, light at the end of the tunnel, as as we always say, whatever the case may be. And then once you get to like the tunnel stage, it's like a whole different vibe of emotions that's going through. Like, damn, where all that time went. Like, I'm right here now. Like, got the papers back from time allowance committee or whatever the case may be. They gave you an open date, and it's like, whoa, like it's almost quote unquote showtime. So you go through those different type of emotions, um, and it's all coming from a survival instinct. You know what I'm saying? Because you survived the last 10, 12, 15, 20, 18 years. However it is that, you know, you survived it, that we survived it. Um, but it's a lot that came with it. Um, and to sit here to try to like explain how, like, bruh, it's just a lot. It took a lot of faith, a lot of willpower, um, and mental. I think it all boils down to if this is where you want to be for the rest of your life. Because if so, then there's always a cell open. There's
Indeed.
always there's always a bed available in a medium. There's always a dorm open. There's always something open in a shoe. Those is not familiar special housing units segregated from population or whatever the case may be. So there's always space for that type of thinking and that type of behavior if you choose to act on it. Um, and it was rough. It was rough all the way to the bitter end. Sometimes we have to make fun out of crazy situations just to get by, to save yourself from going crazy. Um, it was a lot. It was a lot of the times, you end up, meeting guys that end up being family members. Throughout those times, all of us get stripped of everything, of all the materialistic things, all the tangibles, and we all have that one thing in common, or a few things in common. We're all doing time. We're all gonna lock in. We all have to wait for a visit. We all have to strip search after a visit. Like, so those commonalities right there is like what brings the relevance amongst each other, that brings the closeness, to relationships, to bring the closeness and brotherhood. So a lot of other prisoners get leaned on for support. We use each other for mental strength, to get through. Um, so it's definitely a lot. It's
Yeah,
definitely a lot.
yeah. On that note, that's also what we want. First, a shout out to viewers, man. Shout out to support. Shout
No
out to
doubt.
family. We
No doubt.
appreciate you. We don't really pay too much attention to the chat. Not that we don't want to. Um, but we got our training wheels on right now.
No doubt.
So bear with us. We definitely acknowledge and appreciate you. And
Salute.
you can support by sharing the live, man. You know what I'm saying?
No
Share it to
doubt.
someone that means something to you. Um, this way we hope to. We want to leave something. So with talking about the superheroes and going through these stages of growth and transformation. Um, we want you, brother, to remember your origin story. You know, try to make sense out of why you living the life you living.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and acknowledge your alter ego. You know, and the reason why you have alter ego. You have people you want to protect. You have people that you love,
No
and,
doubt.
and you definitely want to instill that strong moral code. And have a strong moral code, man. Have motivations that's driven by the good that you want to do in
No
your
doubt.
community, in your family, the good you want to do for yourself. Nobody want to wake up. I mean, not I won't say nobody, but the vast majority of us don't want to wake up with choices that's going to lead us to the pen or to a pine box. We don't want to make those choices.
Facts. True.
And that's the kind of life we live in, and we think we need that to survive. We don't need that to survive. We already survived,
No doubt.
you
No
know.
doubt. No
So
doubt.
with that, King, I'm gonna let you go. I gotta get on the road.
All right, no doubt. Peace.
I
Appreciate you.
appreciate you.
No
Stay
doubt.
blessed. Continue to build, man. Great build, beloved.
No doubt. Likewise. Yo, like the brother just finished saying, man, shout out to everybody that's pulling up. I'm actually on my channel, BattleBoy Media on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram, Instagram Live. So wait, shout it. Appreciate you, man. Shout out everybody that's pulling up. Jigga, I see you, bro. My primo, Blockbuster Brim. Yeah, man. So again, right? Um, going through the stages of the bid, right? Um, like I said, I often question, like, had I wouldn't have sat still, would I have been able to tap into the person that I am right now? And I think, honestly speaking, I don't I really don't know, because locking in night after night, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, 5, 10, 12, 13 years, like, was different. I definitely I became a man in prison. I became a man in prison, coming from doing 2 juvenile bids, right? So I got my GED in prison. I learned about Black history in prison reading. I broadened my vocabulary in prison. I learned how to cook in prison. So it's like, I learned how to live / be free in a place that held me captive for over a decade, right? So that's crazy within itself. And I think some of that is what helps to equate, you know, guys that did a lengthy amount of time as being superheroes, based under the conditions, and being able to find your way and do your bid for you, and be able to make it back home to loved ones. Um, there's a lot of things that I've taken from doing the bid that I apply to this day. Um, I don't try to implement it or impose it on others or whatever, but I know, it worked for me in, like, the most hostile environments, from jail to jail to jail to jail to jail, that it can't go you can't go wrong utilizing it every day in life. And one of those things, I'm gonna share it with you, is, when I would lay down, whether I'm locking in a cell or I'm in a dorm, or in a medium, right? I will always do, like, introspection, and comb out the course of the day, right? And see if I offended anybody by the way that I spoke. So a lot of the times when we speak to individuals or talk with individuals, is not what it is that we say, it's how we say it. And I'll be able to pinpoint how I came across to this person or that person, or even a CO. I didn't exclude COs, you know what I'm saying, because they could definitely make the bid rough for you, and, have you going through it. Like, that's pretty much their house, that's their domain, or whatever. I'm just there for a short period, or for whatever sentence that I'm sentenced to do. So each day I would do, introspection, and have prayers for the next day, and be a little bit more sharp and wiser with my tongue while I'm speaking to anybody, whether it be, a homie, a neutral dude, um, an officer, sergeant, whatever the case may be. Like, It's just the way you have to go about speaking to be received with the type of respect and what it is that you're looking for. And that's something that I carry with me to this day. It may not work all the time. I'm not perfect. I am human or whatever the case may be. But that's one of the things that I utilize that help me, navigate and get through the bid. Um, Treat everybody, with respect, unless they disrespect. Um, yeah, so I think a lot of the superpowers based off of, the thumbnail guys that did lengthy bids are considered superheroes. I think a lot of the superpowers, you know, just came along with the bid, and it comes from within. Like it's always been there. Um, but again, I always question had I wouldn't have been sitting still had it would have surfaced the way that it surfaced. Um, and of course, education definitely played a part as far as like reading certain kind of books, um, getting a chance to understand the world that we living in, getting a chance to understand yourself, getting a chance to understand where we come from, as far as like history books or whatever the case may be. I read a fair share of that, and just keeping the mind sharp, and it works, and then ultimately making the choice to actually say like prison wasn't designed for me. Like, yes, I made a mistake, got myself caught up, and served my time, pay my debt to society or whatever. But prison wasn't designed for me. Like, I'm better than that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not a jailbird. I'm not one of them dudes that I could name every tier on in every jail and all that stuff. Like, nah, not my thing. I'm better off um being constructive in the streets. So making that choice to give myself a chance, right? Making the choice to give myself a chance, right? Is something that I've never really done um in a positive light. I gave myself a chance in the most negative things and went headfirst, dived all the way in like this is life, this is what it is, ain't no changing that, and gave it 110, you know. But I came to grips of like, you know what? Let me try to give the opposite side of life a chance to give it 110 and see what comes from it. And with God's grace and his blessings, I've been free, you know, um, mentally and physically free. Um, so definitely, no more going through the systems or whatever the case may be. And a lot of the things that, I cherished or held on to, the tangibles, like it's not valid to me in my eyes. Like it doesn't hold no weight to me in my eyes because life is life is so much more than what it is that I put value on things, you know? So definitely valuing self. Um, and it's the little things that help develop the superpowers that the title entails, right? As far as, you know, being a superhero from doing a lengthy bid. A lot of little things that we don't give ourselves credit for, um, or give grace. And I'm definitely one of them. I don't give myself grace, for you know allowing myself to stay home, um, giving back to the community, giving back experiences from doing time or speaking to the younger kids in the streets, speaking at at risk youths. Um, getting the opportunity to go into juvenile facilities, even Rikers Island, to speak to, certain individuals. So, slowly but surely, you know, I've played my part and playing my part in the giving back because we all know, the system is designed to pretty much trap us up and keep us, in a certain state of mind, and it's working. It's it it has worked. It's just not going to work on everybody, and it's not going to be like that for everybody. You know, so you know the superhero and the superpowers lies within. And I think, and this is one thing I wanted to mention as well too, right? Definitely shout to everybody pulling up, shout to everybody engaging. I appreciate y'all, man. If you like the platform, subscribe. You subscribed already, comment. If you comment, share, man. Share the live, man. This is definitely food for thought. We dripping in gems over here, and it's all about staying woke or waking up for the most part. You know? Jigga salutes, bro. Um, I lost my train of thought with that real quick. Oh yeah, the superpowers is definitely within, right? The superhero is definitely within. It's all on, us as an individual to wanna, you know, be that person in the flesh and not be afraid or get discouraged from being that person that you could be or should be. Um, so I definitely want to give myself a shout for, being home, weathering the storms of being free and a regular normal life of, you know, bills and being a husband and a father, etc. Like, because most of us are used to running away from those things. You know what I'm saying? Um, and being on the outside is definitely much better than being inside, you heard? Um, and I just want to leave y'all with this right before I tune out. Whatever superpowers that you gain, from a time of darkness like incarceration, man, you tap back in and you make sure, that you tap in with your other superheroes, man, and make sure that they good too, you heard? Like, because you're only gonna be as strong as your weakest link. And you know, there's definitely no I in team or whatever circle you choose to have around you, or whatever the case may be. Like, tap in with your bros, tap in with your sis. Make sure that you know they mental is in a good place. Check on their mental, see how they doing, whatever the case may be. Um, because a lot of us is running around in pain, and sometimes when all you know is pain, and all you know is to hold it down is what you'll actually do. But that's definitely damaging to self. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna leave the build at that, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is Battle Boy Media, where we will always be dripping in gems, and where we're gonna force you and myself, to do self work. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, y'all stay tuned, man. We got some interviews coming up. Shout out to Forget My Brooklyn. Um, Stay with us, man. We got some things in store. Salute.